We are in a native woodland here in San Francisco. There's a lot of people who try to tell you that there weren't native trees in San Francisco, but that's not true. These are coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia, and there are over 500 known interactions with native insects with this tree. This is another one of these plants that's really good at stacking functions. There are butterflies and moths that use the foliage for their larval food plant. There's myriad species which use the acorns to eat things like jays, squirrels, other mammals and other birds. And then we have all of the cavities that form in this wood. The cavities that are kind of natural in oaks become the nesting places for a lot of our native birds. And these are things like the chestnut-backed chickadee, once upon a time things like western screech owls. And I actually just heard over there an American kestrel. This is one of the few places in the city we still have American kestrels. Some years they might just nest, and having remnant oak woodlands like this, where there are still cavities, this is one of our best chances really to get something like an American kestrel to continue to come back and nest in the city. We also had things like the arroyo willows, red willows that are right upstream, things like toyon and red elderberry, blue elderberry, a different kind of forest structure than we might associate now with the large canopies that we have through the city. Nevertheless, very important. Some of the species of insects that live in here are things like the California sister butterfly. The foliage of this tree is the larval food plant for that. We also have all kinds of silkworms, moths, beetles, all kinds of insects that live in these trees. And those insects are the base of the food chain for a wide group of birds. We have all kinds of songbirds that live in California's oak woodlands, and right here in San Francisco is no exception. In fact, I just was hearing the call of the Hutton's vireo, which early naturalists out in Point Reyes described as the spirit of coast live oak. We've also got chestnut-backed chickadees, Anna's hummingbirds, a spotted towhee down the hill calling, hermit thrush, there's scrub jays in the background. Incidentally, scrub jays are one of the most important dispersers of acorns. When a scrub jay gets an acorn, they forget about 10% of them. That 10% that are hidden in the ground then go on to produce the new oaks that we see in the landscape. Oaks, of course, they are very good at producing their own food through the sunlight, gathering stuff from the ground, but they cannot get up and walk around, and they don't have wings to fly and move their seeds. They rely on birds for that. And they also rely on squirrels. So in this case, it's the forgetfulness of the scrub jay that really leads to this abundant forest. So we need these living players in the system to continue having the oaks out here. If we don't take care of the oaks and the species that rely on them, we're going to lose them from the landscape. Enhancing a habitat for wildlife is really about knowing your opportunities and your limiting factors. And sometimes a limiting factor for songbirds in your area might be a number of cavities. There might not be enough cavities in your area to supply the number of birds that could actually handle being there. So in this case, I've got a nesting box I put up a bunch of years ago, and it's already hosted at least 4 or 5 seasons worth of chestnut-backed chickadees. Now, chestnut-backed chickadees are a really cool bird because they're a nucleus species, meaning other wintering and migratory birds glom onto those flocks and join them. So it's a great thing to be able to have chestnut-backed chickadees. This is one way to enhance their habitat. Other birds that we can provide include the cavity nesting swallows like tree swallow, violet green swallow, purple martin, also things like Pacific wren or winter wren if you're in the east, and oak titmouse, tufted titmouse, a lot of other birds, which are all considered secondary cavity obligates. In nature, these nests would be being made by things like woodpeckers and nuthatches. Key with tying a birdhouse onto a tree is that you don't want to girdle the tree. In this case, I have it on wire, flexible copper wire. I just loosen it up every season. The other thing you want is a door that will open. This one's got just a Phillips screw, but every season I come through here and clean out all of the old nests. This one's had at least 5 generations of chickadees that have come through and bred here. The hole is a very key part of the box. It should never be more than 1 9/16 inches. Bigger than that and the European starlings get in. The European starling is one of the main reasons for the decline of our native songbirds. The other bird that we really want to try to keep out of here are house sparrows. Also not a native bird, not even a true sparrow, it's a weaver. Another good feature with the box is to have a little bit of a roof. That means if a raccoon were trying to reach over, it makes it hard to get in because of course their little hands can fit in. So what's really good is to have it be in an area where any animal would have a really hard time getting in. No perch. You don't want to, some people think a perch on there is really cute. That just adds a spot for a predator to come in. So you want the box to be free of things that are going to enable the predators to get in there. So from here, we're going to go check out one of the largest alder trees along this free-flowing creek. I'm proud to say I planted it. Let's see how big it is.